You're not unlucky in love. You're predictable. You give chances. You see the good in people. You stay longer than you should. And somehow, you keep ending up hurt. Here's the truth no one tells you. Toxic people don't hunt bad people. They hunt good ones. Because good people tolerate what others won't. Hello, beautiful thinkers. Welcome back to our Thinking Lab, the only channel that where science, ancient wisdom, stoicism, and biblical insight come together to elevate the way you think, live, and lead your life. If you're ready to understand yourself on a deeper level, upgrade your inner world, and build a life that feels intentional, powerful, and beautifully aligned, you're in the right place. Here, we don't just learn, we evolve, we think deeper, we live better. Today's episode is about why good people end up in toxic relationships. Stay tuned in because I included 5 simple and practical solutions. So now let's get started. Chapter 1. Reality over comfort. Reality over comfort means choosing the truth, even when the truth hurts your feelings, ego, or fantasy. Most people stay trapped because comfort feels safer than honesty. They ignore red flags, tolerate disrespect, and romanticize potential because accepting reality would force change. Comfort keeps you emotionally asleep. Reality wakes you up. Reality says, patterns matter more than promises. Actions reveal character. Peace is more valuable than temporary attention. Comfort says, maybe they'll change. It's not that bad. I can fix this. But growth begins the moment you stop asking, how do I keep this relationship? And start asking, why am I betraying myself to keep it? Being good doesn't protect you. It can actually make you easier to manipulate. You forgive too fast. You explain away red flags. You confuse potential with reality. You don't fall in love with who they are. You fall in love with who they could be. And that gap, that's where toxicity lives. Picture this. You already know they're bad for you, but instead of leaving, you keep replaying old memories like they still represent who they are now. You're not holding on to love anymore. You're holding on to a version of them that no longer exists, and every day you avoid the truth for comfort. Your self-respect gets quieter. As the famous saying goes, truth hurts. And here's why. Science. Your brain is wired to protect your self-image. When truth contradicts your beliefs, identity, or expectations, the brain triggers a threat response, the same circuitry activated by physical pain. Truth feels like a wound because it forces neural rewiring. Psychology. The ego hates correction. Truth exposes blind spots, patterns, and behaviors we've been avoiding. It disrupts our coping mechanisms, challenges our narratives, and removes our excuses, which is why it stings before it liberates. Stoicism. The Stoics taught that pain comes not from truth itself, but from our resistance to it. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Truth hurts because it demands responsibility, and responsibility demands change. Ancient wisdom. Across cultures, truth is seen as a cleansing fire. It burns away illusion, fantasy, and self-deception. The burn is uncomfortable, but the clarity it leaves behind is priceless. Biblical insight. Scripture says, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Freedom often begins with discomfort. Truth exposes what is unhealthy, misaligned, or destructive, not to shame you, but to heal you. The real reason truth hurts? Because it breaks the illusion first, so it can build the person you are meant to become. Chapter 2. Pattern recognition. Pattern recognition means learning to see repeated behaviors, emotional cycles, and hidden habits before they destroy your peace. This isn't random. It's a loop. You attract people who take more than they give, Test your limits. Reward your patience with inconsistency. Why? Because you've trained yourself to earn love, not receive it. So when something feels calm, stable, and easy, you think it's boring. And when it feels intense, uncertain, and draining, you call it chemistry. Savage. Picture this. Scenarios. 1. The late night justifier. Picture this. It's 1:17 a.m. You're staring at your phone. They ignored you all day. Then suddenly text, "Hey." And instead of questioning it, you feel relief. You respond instantly, like access to you is a reward they didn't earn. 2. The apology collector. Picture this. They hurt you. Again. But instead of change, they give you words. "I'm sorry. I'll do better." And you accept it. Again. You're not in a relationship. You're in a subscription to disappointment. 3. The emotional investor. Picture this. You're putting in effort, time, loyalty, patience. They're putting in mood swings. And somehow you still feel like you need to do more. Chapter 3. Internal truth. Internal truth means being honest with yourself about what you feel, tolerate, fear, and avoid, without excuses or illusions. ThinkingLAB teaches that most people don't suffer because they lack answers. They suffer because they keep rejecting the truth they already know inside. Internal truth is the moment you stop blaming circumstances and confront yourself. You knew the red flags. You ignored your intuition. You stayed where your peace was disappearing. It's not about self-hatred. It's about self-awareness. Because growth begins when you stop performing for others and start listening to the part of yourself that has been warning you all along. Your life changes the moment your honesty becomes stronger than your denial. You don't stay because you're weak. You stay because you see potential others don't. You believe love requires sacrifice. You think leaving means failure. But here's the shift. You're not being loyal to them. You're being disloyal to yourself. Chapter 5. Simple and practical solutions that actually work. 1. Raise your minimum standard, not your hope. You stop wishing people will treat you better, show up better, or magically change. Instead, you decide the lowest level of behavior, effort, and respect you will accept, and you hold that line. Hope waits. Standards filter. When you raise your minimum standard, you instantly remove anyone who can't meet it, and you make space for people who can. It's self-respect in action, not imagination. What to do? Decide what behavior is non-negotiable, such as respect, consistency, communication. Why it works. Toxic dynamics survive in ambiguity. Clear standards eliminate confusion, and confusion is where manipulation thrives. You're not raising your hope. You're raising the cover charge to your life. Picture it. A man shows up with the emotional equivalent of gas station flowers and vibes. No effort, no consistency, no follow-through. Just the audacity. He steps toward your energy like it's general admission. You don't flinch. You don't negotiate. You don't pray. He magically evolves. You simply look at the door, adjust the sign, and it now reads, minimum standard increased. Entry denied. Because hope is what you used when you didn't know your worth. Standards are what you use now that you do. And the moment you raise them, people either rise or evaporate. Either way, you win. 2. Stop rewarding bad behavior. When someone gives you inconsistency, disrespect, laziness, or bare minimum effort, you stop giving them attention, access, affection, or emotional labor in return. Bad behavior only continues when it gets rewarded. When you remove the reward, the behavior either improves or disappears. It's not punishment. It's cause and effect. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, respond to, and reinforce. What to do. No instant replies after neglect. No affection after disrespect. Why it works. People repeat what gets rewarded. If bad behavior still gets access to you, it will continue. Picture this. You catch someone giving you attitude, silence, or half effort, and then looking at you like you're supposed to keep the vibe alive. You don't argue. You don't correct. You don't be the bigger person. You simply stop feeding the behavior. No reaction, no access, no reward. And just like that, their power evaporates because it only existed in the space you used to give them. 3. Detach from potential. Focus on patterns. Stop falling in love with who someone could be and pay attention to who they consistently are. Potential is imagination. Patterns are data. People reveal themselves through repetition, not promises, not chemistry, not one day. When you detach from the fantasy and look at the pattern, the truth becomes obvious, and your decisions become easier. What to do. Judge them by what they consistently do, not what they promise. Why it works. Patterns don't lie. Words do. Consistency reveals truth faster than emotion. Picture this. He's telling you who he could be. You're watching who he is. He drops sweet potential, like breadcrumbs. But his patterns? They're loud, lazy, and identical every time. So you stop squinting at the fantasy. You zoom in on the repetition. And the moment you do, the spell breaks. The promise dissolves. The truth stands there naked. And it's not impressive. Potential is the costume. Patterns are the confession. And you only make decisions based on confessions now. 4. Learn to sit in discomfort instead of fixing it. Instead of rushing to soothe, solve, distract, or escape the moment you feel anxiety, awkwardness, silence, or uncertainty, you let yourself stay in it. Because discomfort isn't danger, it's data. When you stop trying to fix every uncomfortable feeling, you build emotional muscle, clarity, and self-control. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. What to do. When they pull away, don't chase. When it feels off, don't overgive. Why it works. Your urge to fix things is what traps you. Discomfort is often a signal, not a problem to solve. Picture this. The discomfort hits. Your old self would rush to fix it. This time, you go still. No chasing, no smoothing, no self-rescue. You let the feeling burn, and it burns off your weakness instead of your power. 5. Make access to you, earned not assumed. People don't get your time, energy, attention, or emotional availability just because they want it, or because they showed up. Access is a privilege, not a default setting. You decide the criteria. You decide the standard. You decide who gets in, how close they get, and for how long. When access is earned, not assumed, your life stops attracting chaos and starts attracting people who actually value you. What to do? Time, attention, and emotional energy must be reciprocated, not given freely. Why it works. Scarcity creates value. When you become selective, low-effort people eliminate themselves. Picture this. Someone strolls toward your life like it's an open lobby. No effort, no respect, no intention. They reach for access. You don't argue. You don't explain. You don't be nice. You just lock the door. Because entry isn't automatic anymore. Access is earned. and you stopped accepting walk-ins. Chapter 6. General idea. Good people end up in toxic relationships because they see potential instead of patterns, they soothe discomfort instead of sitting in it, and they give access that was never earned. But the Stoics remind us, you suffer more from imagination than reality, and scripture echoes, by their fruits, you will know them. When you finally raise your minimum standard, stop rewarding bad behavior, detach from fantasy and guard your heart with intention, the cycle breaks, not because they changed, but because you did. And that's the moment a good person becomes an unshakable one, rooted in wisdom, guided by truth, and no longer available for anything beneath the level God and discipline built you for. We've reached our closing. If this episode enlightened you, hit the subscribe button, like and share to a friend and a family who needs recheck their boundaries. You don't need to become colder. You need to become clearer, because the goal isn't to stop being a good person. The goal is to stop being a convenient one. The right person won't need your tolerance. They'll respect your boundaries. And the moment you realize that, you stop chasing love and start choosing it. At the end of the day, good people don't end up in toxic relationships because they're weak. They end up there because they love deeply, believe fiercely, and try longer than most. But there comes a moment, a clean, quiet, revolutionary moment, when you finally realize that your goodness was never the problem. Your tolerance was. And the second you stop confusing loyalty with self-abandonment, the entire pattern breaks. You don't chase. You don't negotiate. You don't shrink. You rise, and the toxicity that once felt powerful suddenly has nothing left to feed on. Because when a good person wakes up, the cycle ends, the healing begins, and the story changes permanently in your favor. Thank you for stopping by at our Thinking Lab, where we just don't glow from the inside and out, but we grow beautifully. Until next time, I'm Athena, and this is Thinking Lab. Think deeper, live better.